3 actors who are playing Chiron, and there's a strong connection between them, but what were the challenges around both the casting them and also then working with the actors so you felt that there was a continuity?
I mean, for my part, I didn't want there to be a literal continuity amongst the three men who play Chiron and 3 men who play Kevin. So I never allowed them to meet. There was no rehearsal with them together, and I never allowed them to watch footage of the other actor who was playing the character. I feel like there's this idea of the way the world is shaping these young men. So as you progress from chapter to chapter, all this time has passed and the characters become a different person. So I thought we will cast different people to play the same person. And I think visually when you see the character in this next iteration, he's literally become a different being, embodied most aggressively by the way Trevante Rhodes looks when he comes on screen. Yet I directed them all the same. It's a testament to our casting director, Yessi Ramirez, for sort of like, believing that we could pull this off. There's a book by Walter Murch called In the Blink of an Eye. It's the first text I read in film school that to me was a very concrete explanation of the power of cinema. Murch was an editor and a sound designer. He worked with Coppola in the 70s and 80s. And he said the eyes are the window into the soul. And the audience is looking into the soul of the actors / characters. And so whenever you have a cut, you're breaking that connection. So I thought if I could find these young men with the same eyes, you guys would feel that you were traveling with the same soul, even though it was inhabiting a different body. And the only time that those young men overlapped was when Naomie showed up because of this damn visa issue. And so it was the only time where I was forced to jump back and forth, from Trevante to Ashton to Alex and things like that. And I don't know what it was like for Naomie, but it was very, very intense for me, to say the least.
I mean, I can't really speak about any challenges, to be quite honest with you, because there weren't any. They are all 3 of them such extraordinary actors. Little Alex is only 11 years old and has never acted before, and he is like the most professional actor that I've ever worked with. And knows how to have levity in between takes. Like, he'll sing and dance. He's a little Michael Jackson impersonator in between, and he's amazing. He's extraordinary. And then just be able to drop it into it. As soon as Barry says action, he can be completely in the moment, completely serious. He's an extraordinary actor, and they all were. I mean, Trevante, who plays Black, I met him like 5-10 minutes before we did that final scene, and that's all we had to get to know each other, for those 5-10 minutes before getting into one of the deepest scenes that you could possibly kind of get into, for my character at least, because this is the moment when she asks her son for forgiveness for not being there for him when he most needed her throughout his entire life. And he's just extraordinary. We just both were just able to dive right in, and I think that is a real credit to Barry and to Yessi in terms of their choices. They just chose exactly the right people.
Yeah, it was a method show. I was thinking about this today, but I love that scene. The end of it is not scripted, So you guys are performing the scene, and so Naomie, Miss Tito, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. And so she was having a hard time lighting the cigarette. And so I went over to Trevante and whispered in his ear. I said, "Hey, bro, I want you to reach over and take the cigarette from her when she can't light it." I didn't tell her he was going to do that. And he reached over, he took the cigarette, and he lit it, and the scene kept going. Because I'm sorry, baby, is not in the script. The scene is meant to function as an apology, but those words aren't in the script. But when he took that cigarette and gave it back to her, I saw something switch. And then we just kept going, and we got that apology. So, and everybody involved with the film is just fluid in that way.
I'd love to open it up to your questions, and so just raise your hand if you have one. We'll call on you. I think there's one right here, and I'll repeat them so everyone can hear.
I just had a question for Barry. I was wondering if there's any particular films that really influenced you while you were working?
Yeah, I've been doing this for about 2 months. Yes, any films that have influenced me while making it. Not while making it, because I try not to watch those films once I know I'm going to make this film, but Claire Denis' film, Beau Travail, One Car Lie, Happy Together, and Ho Sha Shin 3 times. 3 main films that I think influence this film.
How long did it take to
The question is how long it took to shoot the film.
25 days. 5-day weeks, five-day weeks.
Right up here?
I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, not too far from Liberty City. I have cousins who live there also. I'm interested in how you thought about, thought about Florida as a place, and how that gets represented in your film.
I mean, that lives primarily with T, because, he originated the source material. The one thing I'll say is, we made this film in Miami, and the budget could have gone a lot farther in Georgia or Louisiana because of tax incentives, which we didn't have access to in Florida. But both T and myself felt like Miami was a character in this film. There are communities in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and Atlanta that are similar to Liberty City, but it just didn't feel like it would have been that same sort of fire, that same passion that we had to this place we grew up in. He can tell you why he didn't set it in the South Side and why he set it in Miami.
Well, I didn't set it in the South Side because I'm not from the South Side. And again, as much as I love the South Side and spent a lot of time there, I was trying to figure out my own life. And I also, one of the things that I think again, he doesn't like to take credit for stuff, so you kind of give it to him. But one of the things that he knew, because he has such a visual sense of the world, is that Miami doesn't look, it may have the same issues and the same problems and the same riches as other major cities, but it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same because it's geographically in a certain place. It doesn't look the same because it's culturally in a different place, right? We have such a mixture and a certain type of mixture that makes it different from anywhere else in the world. And so because of that, it is necessary to show the coming of age of someone in this environment, right? You don't want to necessarily take Shakuntala out of the forest, right? Because if he's out of the forest, he's never going to be able to climb the tree or face the tiger, or all of this be like Shakuntala. What is this? It's a Sanskrit play. Anyway, the point is, like, in Miami, we could not have the proximity to the ocean, or that line about smelling the ocean in the middle of Liberty City, in the middle of the urban environment, if we were in the south side of Chicago. So I had to stay true to that, because those two things were happening at the same time. Those events, when blue was no longer my life anymore, it was also a very beautiful day when I came home and I was told that same information. It wasn't snowing outside. It felt nice. I remember it was October, so it was fall, but the sun was still beaming. And those things are necessary for us to understand the full brunt of what this kid is going through, I think.
Other questions? Right up here.
First, I just want to say that I have profited over and over again from the creativity of everybody on this stage in so many projects, in multiple mediums. I'm sure lots of us feel the same way, so thank you for all your work, including tonight. My question for Barry, the question of holding one's breath came up a few times before, and for me that was so much about the sound in this movie, which is extraordinary, and the number of times that something really beautiful and also something else maybe agitating or kind of shrill were audible at the same time. And the way, just like the images and the editing, the sound keeps moving us out of all these different tones in and out. So I just hope you could talk about finding that part of the movie.
No, it was just about immersion, I wanted you guys to be, immersed in the character's journey. This is a kind of film where, it could be framed as a neorealist film or as a visualist film, but we didn't want to take those aesthetic cues. We wanted to sort of filter everything through the experience of the character. So there are certain times when the world is swirling around Sharon, and I wanted the world to swirl around you guys' heads also, because we're all in this collective head in this beautiful room. So there are just moments where I felt like there was a dissonance or a disorientation for Sharon. I wanted to disorient all you folks in here with our 5.1, 8.1. So yeah, that's all it was.
Thanks.
Right up here.
Yes, I want to ask a question about sound also. Since medicine for melancholy, I know soundtracks are really important to you, and I've never seen a film like, Chop and Screw with orchestration, combined with it. And also, can you talk about sound in terms of, in Tarell's plays, the spirit lives through the silence and the pauses and sometimes in the action of the words. How were you able to kind of meld those two with the score of the film?
Yeah, the second, I'll say the second part first. I actually was trying to really be mindful of doing what I feel like Tarell accomplishes in words, in events. You know, I was trying to do that with gestures, in motion in the film. And I think the way to do that was to create space. So I'm glad you seized on that. The Chopped and Screwed is a kind of hip hop that's rooted in Houston, Texas, but also Tampa, Florida, where they slow the music down and they reduce the pitch. And so it's a more masculine form of hip hop. And yet, because hip hop, the words come at you so fast, when you chop and screw it, the words come at you a bit slower. And so the yearning in hip hop, the angst in hip hop really rises to the surface. You can't deny it. So as this film goes on, the source cues become chopped and screwed. The song they play in the car, Classic Man, if you heard it on the radio, it doesn't sound like that. This is a chopped and screwed version. But our composer, Nick Patel, he's a great guy. He's just really, really deep. And whenever I had an idea, he wanted to pursue it. And so because I love chopped and screwed music so much, and I wanted this sort of art house chamber orchestra score, you know, I wanted to fuse that, you know, with the spirit of the community I'm from. Nick said, well, we'll chop and screw the orchestra. And so we don't chop and screw it at the beginning, but as the film goes on, you know, you're hearing violins, basses, cellos, also being chopped and screwed, pitched down 3 octaves, slowed down. And so the loudest rumble you hear in here isn't a hip-hop song played out of a trunk, you know, it's someone playing a very beautiful oboe, or cello, or bass. When Andre Holland's smoking a cigarette, you know, that's a chopped and screwed classical orchestra. And I love it because it's filtered through the spirit of the community. There's this theory of ancient civilizations that the universe was spoken into existence, like these vibrations, which kind of makes sense when you think about it scientifically. But it makes sense to me that where I grew up, people played this loud bass. They want the music to move through them. So I wanted the orchestra to move through you folks also. Again, it's all about immersion. It's all about immersion.